Hi everybody, so in this video we're going to be comparing the sizes of the different Battle Royale maps. So we're going to be doing all of them, I think. I think I've managed to kind of roughly work out the sizes of all of them. Now what you have to do remember though is that there's kind of a lot of estimated with some of those maps, because there's not specific sizes given by the developers and the publishers, apart from really PUBG, that you have the kilometer markers, but the Warzone, Blackout, Fortnite, and Apex, you've got to kind of estimate it going off what other people have done going into games and things like that. So without further ado, this is the Warzone map, and let's start off with comparing it with Erangel, which is the PUBG map. So now with the PUBG maps, we know their sizes. Erangel is an 8x8 kilometer map, so it's absolutely huge. And then if we turn on Warzone, we can see Warzone is just in the middle, so approximately 4.5 kilometers. That might be quite surprising to some people, but if you look at the Warzone map, it really is very, very dense in terms of buildings and areas where you're going to be fighting. If you think about in Erangel, there's so many open areas where there's just trees and kind of heathland and places like that, where there are no points of interest. But Warzone is absolutely packed, and so maybe that's why Warzone feels bigger than it actually is, because there's so many places for people to go. We've got 150 people dropping on it, but as long as you drop far, you can normally find somewhere quiet to loot up in peace, and then move into the hotter areas as you go along. Also, remember that the engines that run these games, they kind of scale things differently, don't they? It's kind of to do with the point, your point of view that you have, that angle of your POV. But they generally, the physics of the world and how you look at that world are different, so that could well be a part of it. So let's go back, and so the daddy of the maps is Miramar. This is 8x8. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, it's 8x8. But a lot of with these maps, it's looking at the playable area, and the playable area at Miramar is quite big. You've got sort of up in the right hand side, you've got military camp, right down to the bottom left hand side where you've got the prison island. Right up to the corners of the map you can get in there and play. So although Erangel is still an 8x8 map, there's lots of sea in this particular map, and kind of all the players are kind of being forced into much smaller areas. If you bring up Vikendi, you can see Vikendi is significantly smaller than Erangel, but I think it's a good size. If you'd asked me, I would have probably said that Vikendi is a similar size to Erangel, but it's not. It's is it 1, 2, 3, 4? I think it's 4x4. I think Vikendi is. But again, it's quite dense with different places to go, like Castle and Cosmodrome. And in fact, if you compare Vikendi with Warzone, you can see they're quite a similar size. But Warzone again is much denser in terms of different points of interest, I guess you could call them, different places to visit. But what I find really interesting about that is that Vikendi is probably my favourite PUBG map, and I think Warzone maybe, that's I really love that map as well. So maybe that sort of size map really suits me. If we go into more PUBG maps, you've got Sanhok there. Again, it's about playable area. So again, all these areas around the sides, they're not playable, and you've got the water areas, lots of jungle areas as well. And then if you pop Karakin, the 2x2 map, on, you can see although it's 2x2, the actual playable area where you would actually drop is probably 1.5 kilometers by 1.5 kilometers. Very, very small indeed. So other maps to compare as well. So if we bring up Warzone again, and we compare it with the Blackout map, overall size is similar. But again, if we think about the playable area in Blackout, it's really this central area, including Nuketown Island. You've got all this desert area where not much happens. You've got the turbine facility here, and you've got a dam up here. But really, it's this small circular area here where all the action happens. Whereas in excuse me, whereas in Warzone, people are pushing right out to these corners. There's loads of buildings and loads of stuff to look at. We can also look at Fortnite, which is a little bit smaller than Warzone. This is probably quite an old map of Fortnite, to be honest. I know it has changed quite a lot. And then you've got the Apex Legends map, which again, Apex is a really small map, and the player, I think this is Kings Canyon. I'm not really sure. I know there's a couple of maps now, but the thing about Apex is there's so much verticality, and they jam so much in all these different areas that often it can feel a lot bigger than it actually is. So maybe that can be quite surprising, these different map sizes. So what we'll do, let's just zoom out a little bit and just go through them again. So there's Miramar. That's the daddy map, the biggest one there is. Then we've got Erangel, which is a similar overall size but smaller in terms of playable area. Then we've got Vikendi, again smaller again, but again packed with points of interest. Then you've got Sanhok. There's lots of actually ups and downs on Sanhok as well, so that can make it feel bigger. You've got the tiny Karakin. The less said about that, the better. Then we've got Warzone, which is similar in size to Vikendi. Blackout, which overall size again similar in size to Warzone, but there's less there to do. There's less points of interest, so people tend to be bunched up a lot more. You've got Fortnite, which again packs in those points of interest, as Apex does as well. Does any of this actually make any difference? I mean, you could ask yourself that question. I guess the answer for me is that it depends on your play style. If you want to jump far and loot up safely and play the quiet side, the bigger maps are definitely better. I think there's a sweet spot between Erangel, Vikendi and Warzone in terms of the balance of points of interest, verticality, and the sheer size of the map. To give you an idea though of what a really big map is: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. So Miramar is 8x8. The DayZ map is 15 kilometers by 15 kilometers if you want a really, really big map. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully this map comparison has been a little bit useful. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them down below, especially if you've got any questions you want answering about map size comparisons, so I can do a little bit more with this file because it is quite useful. Well, like the video if you've liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you again soon.